Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox. I would like to welcome you to the Sunday Book Review. The Sunday Book Review is the series where I discuss books which impact the compliance practitioner, the legal professional, and the business professional. I hope you will enjoy this episode. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network. First, a quick word from our sponsor. Welcome to the Sunday Book Review for October 2nd, 2022. This month we're going to take things a little bit different from the Sunday Book Review. I'm a huge classic monster movie fan, and this month we're going to take a look at some of the classic movie monsters as they've been written about in fiction. For today, October 2nd, we're going to take a look at Frankenstein. So we begin, of course, with Mary B. Shelley's, the classic novel. Few creatures of horror have seized readers' imaginations or held them for so long as the anguished monster of her book. It's the story of Victor Frankenstein's terrible creation and the havoc it caused, and has enthralled generations of readers as well as moviegoers. But we're going to take a look at more than simply Frankenstein. Next up is The Golem by Gustav Meyrink. First published in serial form in 1913 and 14, this is the haunting Gothic tale of stolen identity and persecution set in the strange underworld, peopled by fantastical characters. It's rarely... The Golem, though, is rarely seen, but is central to the novel as a representation of a Jewish ghetto's spirit and consciousness brought to life by the suffering and misery of its inhabitants who have endured them over the century. Perhaps the most memorable figure in the story is the city of Prague itself. Next up, we go to a novella, which is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Certainly familiar to almost all people of the English-speaking worlds as a Gothic novella by Robert Louis Stevenson, first published in 1886. It follows Gabriel John Utterson, a London legal practitioner who investigates a strange series of occurrences involving his old friend Dr. Henry Jekyll and a murderous criminal named Edward Hyde. It's revealed at the end of the novella that Hyde and Jekyll are the same person, with Jekyll transforming into Hyde via an unnamed chemical concoction. It's one of the most famous pieces of English literature and is considered to be a defining book of the Gothic horror genre. And finally, the Casebook of Victor Frankenstein, a relatively new work published in 2010 by Peter Ackroyd. In this book, he reimagines the classic tale of Victor Frankenstein and the poet Percy B. Shelley, forming an unlikely friendship as first-year students at Oxford. Shelley challenges conventional religious Frankenstein to consider his aesthetic notions of life and creation, concepts that become obsessions for the young scientist. Filled with the literary lights of the day, it is a period-perfect voice, and in some cases, some believe a great addition to 21st century horror. I hope you will read one or more of those and check out some of the upcoming Sunday book reviews. We're going to take a look at Dracula, The Wolfman, Mad Scientists, and great monsters in film and fiction. The Compliance Podcast Network was recently honored with some communicator awards for podcasts I know you'll want to check out. Are you interested in Lyme disease? Well, check out Understanding Lyme Disease. And check out the Hill Country Podcast, where I look at the people, places, and things of the Texas Hill Country. Also, we have a new podcast series on the Compliance Podcast Network, which I know you will enjoy, The Corruption Files, where together with Hughes Hubbard partner Mike DeBernardis, we take a look at some of the most significant FCPA and international anti-corruption enforcement actions over the past 15 years. It's a great review and helps you understand how we got to where we are today in ABC compliance. And we actually have one more, which is the board's role in compliance, where I'm joined by my colleague Jonathan Mark partnered Baker Tilly, where we look at the role of the board of directors in compliance, starting with the Caremark doctrine and carrying that forward, and answer questions on how a board can fulfill its obligations under a best practices compliance program. The Sunday Book Review is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.